What is the advice to brothers who just started learning Arabic but are rushing and starting to translate the words of the scholars without knowledge? And they often resort to their own opinions, do not follow the opinions of the scholars, and argue with brothers. Translation. With translating Arabic into English, speech of the scholars and a hadith and other things, Shaykh al-Uthaymeen mentioned there are certain conditions needed for somebody to be able to translate. One condition, the first two are obvious, that you must have a detailed knowledge of both languages, or you could put that as two conditions: detailed knowledge of English in this case and Arabic, or Arabic and which other language you're going to translate to, the target language. So you must know Arabic in detail and you must know the language you're going to translate it into in detail. Thirdly, those two are obvious. You cannot translate without that ability. And that ability isn't simple. It's not just somebody who can speak English. It's not just that you can speak English and now you think, well, yeah, I have a detailed knowledge of English. It's not that simple. The brothers here who are English teachers, you give a page or an essay and you watch how much red mark, how much red writing and red crosses they put on your paper. Because there's a skill to it. Linguistics and English, there are skills and punctuation and grammar. It's not that simple. You can translate and you think, well, I'm a natural speaker of English. My first language is English. That doesn't qualify you to be skilled in English and have the ability to be eloquent in your writing in English. So you got to have skill in the languages, the two languages, Arabic and whatever language you're going to translate into. Thirdly, you must have knowledge of the subject matter. So if you're translating a fatwa of the scholars on some aqidah issue, you need to have some knowledge on aqidah. You need to have knowledge about that topic. You cannot translate topics you have no knowledge of. You cannot just pick up something on fiqh and you say, well, I know Arabic, I know English, but you've never studied fiqh. Then you cannot go start translating issues on fiqh. You have no idea what is meant and what the intention is and what the scholar means because you never studied that subject. I mean, an easy example is now brothers who have learnt Arabic. Brothers who know some Arabic, you've learnt Arabic, maybe you can translate. If somebody said to you now, go and pick up from the library an Arabic book talking about physics or talking about geography, some academic subject, and translate that. You know Arabic, you know English, but you do not know that subject in Arabic. You don't know what those terms are, what they're talking about. You have no knowledge of that subject field. So the third condition, the Shaykh said, you gotta have knowledge of the subject field that you're translating. If you've never studied Aqidah, then don't try and translate even if you know Arabic and English. You never studied fiqh, you never studied this, you never studied that, then you cannot try to start translating in those subjects and you know background. You have no background in those subjects. The fourth thing the Shaykh mentioned, the fourth condition, is that the person must be known as trustworthy. Because a person could have expert knowledge of English and Arabic, for example. He could even be like a graduate and has knowledge of all the subject fields. But he is known to be somebody who is not trustworthy. Somebody who follows his desires, whatever it may be. Then that type of individual, his translations are not acceptable due to the trustworthiness being an issue. And now when he translates, you have to rely on his trustworthiness, that he's translating the words and the phrases accurately. So it's not something easy. If you learn a bit of Arabic and you know English, it's not a good idea at all to rush into wanting to translate. It's not. And as the scholars, they say sometimes the ummah is not going to collapse if we don't have your translations. Alhamdulillah, there is enough out there. The ummah is not about to collapse if you don't translate this article or that fatwa. Get experience, learn properly, get to a good level, understand what you're doing with that field and subject. Otherwise, too many people, they learn some Arabic, they've done some, a year, whatever it is, and now they want to start translating and they end up making so many mistakes, end up making so many errors. Recently, I've been doing some books in the last year. We finished like 10 books, and where brothers were translating, and then one of the Maktabat Ibn Baz, brothers were translating and sending me their translations, and I edit them before the books are then published. So these brothers, they were sending me their translations, and sometimes you see that in a certain phrase, the brother has completely misunderstood the phrase. And you can see why, because in Arabic there's a certain word that is used, and in English we usually mean something by that phrase, but if you don't understand that phrase properly in Arabic, you completely mistranslate. And sometimes I've seen when I'm editing complete mistranslations of a phrase where the person has completely misunderstood it. And so this is important. It's an amana, it's a trust. You have to get to a good level, have understanding, have ability before you go into translating. Shaykh al-Fawzan doesn't permit it at all. They said to Shaykh Fawzan, Shaykh, can we translate a paragraph from one of your books? A couple of lines from here, from there, translate it. He said, no. Anybody translates, we need it verified if your translation is authentic and good. It needs verification. They said, Shaykh, just this now, explanation of a Shaykh al-Fawzan. Can I not just take 3 lines there, it's a nice benefit, and translate it and put it in English and put it on Twitter? Shaykh said, no. Until we verify your translation is valid, or somebody who has the ability to verify, is fully qualified, verifies your translation, shows the importance of it. It's not something easy. You're translating now, it's a trust that you are narrating the words of the scholar to the people. And these days especially, you translate something and you put it on the internet, it goes worldwide. Worldwide overnight. People see that tweet everywhere, that these other social media, whatever they are. And so that small mistake could go across the dunya. So there is no need to rush. Take your time in learning and studying. There is no need to rush. The ummah will not collapse if you miss one translation or you don't do that 2 lines. Anybody else?